What's up, party people? This is Turkish Jude Mossberg up here in Clam Gulch, Alaska. Someone asked a question about what are the benefits of using a third-party CGC witness, like Agents of Slab. Maybe at a convention, they will witness you, get a signature, or maybe you can mail them the book and they'll go get the signature for you. I did it once. I did a third party, McClan Comics. What's that? McClan. And I sent all my magazine size TMNT, and it was a rush job because it was a deadline, so I didn't get to really press them as much as I wanted to, I believe. Then they sent them to a third party who got them signed. Then they sent them to CGC to get graded. I swear it took over 2 years because they pressed them at CGC as well. They didn't press them beforehand, really. They pressed them at CGC in magazine size, a couple years ago. I think they waited for the new plastics. That took longer. Remember when they were switching over the plastics? So whole thing took about 2 years. I was pleasantly surprised with my results. Number 3, 9.8 signed. But it was very expensive. Zero visibility into where the books are, what's going on, did they get lost, do I need to file a claim? Zero visibility in any of that. So I will not use a third party for a signature event unless I desperately want one. I was looking into using a third party for Mr. T. There was something in Dallas this last couple of years. A company out of Minnesota that does signature witnesses. Mail the books to them, then they mail the books to Dallas, and then they get it signed, and they mail the books back to Minnesota, and they mail them to CGC to get signed, and just a lot of movement, a lot of opportunity for lost stuff, a lot of delays, more expensive. It's gonna be like $500 per book going through them. And then all of a sudden they had a deal with CGC at the last minute, and so I already had the books packed up, so I just sent them to CGC. So it was a CGC SS event at CGC. And so those prices were like, normal, $150, $200, whatever. Much, much cheaper than, so the cost is real expensive when you do a third-party CGC witness, whether it's with you at a conference or whether you mail the books into them. A lot of movement, like I said, a lot of movement with the books back and forth, depending on if they get sent in the case. Like I send them CGC my books already in a case, already in a 9.8 case. I only crack 9.8s for a signature series event. I want to know that book's 9.8. I don't want to gamble with a signature that it might be a 9.8 unless it's a big book, like ASM 300. I could invest in a 9.6. 9.8s are pretty expensive. I would never do a third-party CGC witness again unless I really wanted that signature and I just couldn't get it. I've noticed that sometimes when you see these people sign at the beginning of the season, like right now it's June 2026, if you see somebody signing at a con and you might want to jump on board and pay them higher rates, and then in the fall they end up going to CGC anyways. So I really only stick with CGC events. It's contained. I know sometimes they mail the books out to get signed, but I can see where the books are at in the process. I have visibility into my books. If it gets lost or they're going too slow on a certain phase or whatever they call it, on CGC they tell you what point in the process it is, and you can tell if something's been stuck too long. You can give them a call and say, hey, what's going on with this book? And I've had books get lost and I just had to file a claim, and I'd rather do that sooner rather than 2-3 years down the line. I don't like the chance of the books getting damaged with a lot of different movement. The cost is way higher. I mean, I gotta tell you, playing the signature series game in terms of if you want to resell, it's different. You just want your own signature and you don't care whether a book's 100 or 200 and you just want to get it signed, and Maybe getting it signed in person is cooler, but you're paying someone else to do extra work beyond the grading, beyond the verification of signature. You're paying a human being at a conference to walk over there, witness with you, so it's just more expensive than if you just mail it to CGC Signature Series event. So I would only do books that are through a CGC Signature Series event. Now, what I find out is sometimes they'll have artists that are in Italy, let's say, but it'll be a CGC Signature Series event. So you send your books there, they crack them, they bag them, then they send them to Italy or wherever the guy is, or sometimes they work through Agents of Slab, so they still send them to Agents of Slab, and they get all the books, and then they probably mail it straight to the con. They don't mail it to Minnesota and then to the con. They probably mail the book straight to the con. They get signed. But at least they'll come back to CGC and you get impressed at CGC. I guess in both cases, they'd be graded at CGC. So always pay for the pressing at CGC, even if you pressed them beforehand. Because with all that travel and someone signing the books and opening them up, there's a lot of chance for the book to just get a ding. You know, one little bend in a corner because a thumb caught it accidentally, or so always get it pressed. There was one example where I did not get it pressed after the signature event, and it was an expensive book. It was a TMNT #1, double signed by Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman. It was like a 7.5. I sent it to a specialist that cracked it open. It wasn't a yellow label before. It was a blue label with a note with just the words underneath that, the names Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman are on the inside cover. And so it was a blue label, so we cracked it. He pressed it like 10 times, right? Got a one little grade bump from a 7.0 to a 7.5, so that was great. But because we pressed it so much, we didn't press it at the end of the Signature Series event. I can't remember why. I think I asked him what his opinion was, and he says it doesn't need to be pressed again. Maybe the pressing might ruin it. I don't know. Maybe it was just too expensive. A magazine-sized $10,000 book, and it wasn't a Signature Series event. It was JSA. So it was a regular submission. So the pressing was expensive on the $10,000 magazine size. It was like over $100, $200. So for whatever reason, I didn't press it then. But any other time, if I press a book before I send it in for a Signature Series event, I'll always get the pressing after the Signature Series event at CGC. It's just, if you're going to spend that kind of money in your book, it's only $20 to add on to a Signature Series event. And so it's worth it. If you know what I collect, I only collect 9.8s, so it's really hard to move the 9.6s. And if I do, people really tend to not pay much for the 9.6s. Unless it's a key book like ASM 300, Incredible Hulk 340. Anyways, someone just asked, what are the benefits of using a third party? And if anything, there's a downside. There's no benefits to using a third party. If the artist is at a convention and you could hire a third party like Agents of Slab or Clan McDonald versus getting them to sign it at CGC, I always go with CGC. The only reason I might go in person is that someone who just never goes to CGC. If you get an Alan Moore that shows up at a conference and he's willing to sign a book, you're dang right. I'm paying $500 or $1,000 to get a witness to go over there. And so that's a CGC event. Alan Moore his signature isn't on a lot of CGC books. So if he was at a con and there was a one-time deal, that's why I almost spent $500 on Mr. T. And I was so thrilled when CGC coordinated with Agents of Slab. Was it Agents of Slab? No, it's the people out of Minnesota that do a lot of movie stars. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Is that the same thing? So I was going to pay $500 per signature, but then he ends up going to CGC and it was like $150, so that was great. Anyways, happy hunting, guys.